Welcome back for another episode of the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast, where we celebrate individuals and families, businesses, and organizations that seek out and promote the exploration, stewardship, conservation, access, and enjoyment of the outdoors. Hello, everybody. This is Howard Fox, and I have the pleasure of introducing you to a couple that I met on a cruise recently. I was invited by UnCruise Adventures to join a cruise on the Wilderness Discoverer out in Alaska. We visited fjords, glaciers, and especially Glacier Bay National Park. And I had the pleasure of getting to know not only Dave and Cindy from Boston, Massachusetts, but they brought their family with them, which really turned out to be a very fantastic experience. And actually, I was invited to join the family on a couple of excursions, so I feel like I'm part of the family right now. But Dave and Cindy, it's a pleasure to see you both again, this time from Boston. But how are you guys doing?
Excellent. We missed last week, but we're getting back in the grind.
Yeah. Hi, Howard. It's great to see you. We were talking about the fact that coming back to the real world is not as fun as being out in Alaska.
This is true. And I always describe when I come back from a vacation, I call it post-vacation withdrawal. I always try to remember what I was doing like a week ago that same day. And it's like last week felt that way. So first off, did you guys have a good time?
Oh, yeah. It's awesome. Great time.
Yeah, loved it. It was just, we went into it trying to temper some expectations, but man, oh man, it hit a 10 out of 10.
Excellent. Now, I am curious. One piece is UnCruise Adventures. How did you discover them as you were starting to plan this family cruise event? Was cruising even on the vision board? And how did you decide, let's do a cruise? How'd that come about?
So once we decided that we wanted to go to Alaska, part of this was shaped by the fact that Dave and I had been to Alaska on a previous trip. So my parents, 31 years ago, took myself and my siblings and our spouses on a cruise to Alaska. And we went on a different small boat that had lots of wilderness side things that you could do. And they had naturalists on board, and we had a great time. So we had taken this sail up the Inside Passage and into Glacier Bay previously. So that really impacted what we were looking for this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
And all my brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws, we all keep talking about this trip for the last 30 years that we took. And Cindy and I said, wow, wouldn't it be great to have this same experience with our kids, with their plus ones, before they all have kids? And so Cindy really put the balls in motion and got it going for us.
wow, this is the first I've heard this type of scenario. So you guys are like a legacy. Like we've done this before in an earlier generation, and now it's kind of like a gift for our own kids and their plus ones, as Dave just said. And that's pretty amazing. And I do have to ask, has a lot changed from the excursioning and the travels and the Inside Passage versus what we experienced 2 weeks ago?
I would say yes and no. So you heard Dave say that we went in it with tempered expectations, in part because we had the time of our lives 31 years ago.
Okay.
So we were kind of looked at each other like, wow, maybe things have changed in Alaska.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, maybe the glaciers are gone. Maybe they're, and nope.
we were so happy that it's still spectacularly beautiful, that there's still a ton of wildlife that's accessible to you. So we were a little nervous that we wouldn't have as great a time as we did before. And the thing that was, we had a similar boat, so we used the skiffs to get on and off the Zodiacs, and they dropped us ashore, and we hiked and got lost and all the things you do when you're on there. And we had some of that was similar experience. But I think for me, as I was choosing who to cruise with, I actually looked at the folks that we went with 31 years ago. What I really liked about what we did last week on UnCruise, I loved having the kayaks. That for me was like a real game changer. The idea that we could get in a two-person kayak, either get out on the water and have a great experience that way. The paddle boards, it definitely helped to think about the fact that there were a couple of hot tubs on board, because you want to be outside as much as you can, but sometimes you come back freezing. So it's great to have someplace to warm up.
Excellent. Now, I did notice that after the major excursions, you and the family did kind of take over the hot tubs. And you were allowed to have some adult beverages there as well. How did the kids and their plus ones approach this adventure? I mean, you guys did some of the more extreme excursions, more so than I did. I discovered that was a little bit out of shape, which is, if you're going to go on an excursion like this, on a cruise like this, you need to be prepared what you're getting yourselves into. But how did they approach going on this cruise with UnCruise Adventures and getting involved in these activities? Are you guys just a kind of a family that just, you're out there in nature and taking advantage of it?
We're all pretty out there. I would say our
Okay.
kids have all done some adventuring on their own. So it wasn't that part of it was not something that I thought would be unfamiliar to them. That none of them had been to Alaska before.
Okay.
And I think I mean, Howard, the first day they came back from the first excursion that Dave went on with them, I did not. So he went with all of them. They came back, their feet weren't touching the ground. I mean, they were
Okay.
so excited. I had never seen all of my kids that happy at the same time. And that's when I knew they just had this amazing adventure, and Dave can tell you about it. But so
Okay.
they loved it.
Yeah. So it was that significant hike up the ridge line. And we got to the top, and all of a sudden we kept hearing this noise, this crashing noise. And we were like, Jesus, is it an avalanche? What's going on? We couldn't see the water at this point. We turned the corner. We looked back out in the water, and there was a humpback breaching time after time after time. It had to have been 7 or 8 breaches, and gave us enough time to get the camera, get the shot. And it is spectacular. So the kids and everybody, the guide, we were all just giddy with excitement. And we got down, we got on the boat, and I stopped. I was like quiet, just listening to the kids have this feeling of just euphoria. They couldn't believe what they had just seen.
Wow. And I have to admit too, I am a little bit envious. I may have alluded to it a minute ago. Just being able to take some of those extended hikes that really got you to some really phenomenal views, and even to the ones that tested your physical stamina, because those long, that day hike, or even the extreme bushwhack. I mean, I did the light bushwhack. I was just glad to get back to the boat and have a Guinness. But I mean, you really had to be in for those adventures, and to come back, hey, I accomplished this, and then to start to talk about it. And as you said, see the reactions from the kids. That had to be pretty amazing. And with yourselves.
Yeah, it was fantastic. We loved it.
Yeah,
Uh,
we had some great excursions. I think we did as a family. All 8 of us went on the extreme all day bushwhack, and that was everybody worked hard on that. So the
mhm,
kids are, of course, they're all in pretty good shape, and so it was nice to see them doing something that none of them has ever done before. So they've
mhm,
all hiked, they've all done some backpacking stuff like that. But
mhm.
bushwhacking in Alaska is entirely different, and it was so funny. Just today, Howard, Dave and I were driving someplace which was like
Right.
this thick forest, and we looked at each other and we said, "How come nobody bushwhacks in New England?" And we're like, "Nah, not worth it." But bushwhacking in Alaska, 100% worth it.
Okay, so yeah, once you've had the best, it's kind of hard to look at anything else in comparison. How did you enjoy appreciate the interactions with the crew? Because the crew, ratio is actually very low. I think on their website, it's like 2 to 1 or 2.2 to 1. How did you feel about the crew and especially the guides and the impact they had on your ability to want to stay safe and also to enjoy the adventure as well?
Yeah. What else can you say? I mean, stellar, you know, every guide we were with, we were like, oh, we hope we can stay with her next time. And then you get the next guide and you're like, oh, I'm so happy we're with her. She's phenomenal. And then it was just, and they were your leaders, but at the same time, our kids who are all high 20s, 30s, they looked at them as peers and else.
Yeah.
And that's how the guides made them feel. Like they were buddies. Hey, we're gonna get through this, we're gonna do this, and it's gonna be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the guys are super personable, which you might expect. They also each have like they have some pretty impressive backgrounds
Yeah.
for and when you just chat they don't tell you any of that, but when you start to talk with them, you find out that one was in Antarctica for 3 tours and someone else has climbed Denali in Alaska, the highest peak in the 40 in North America. They're all really interesting people. But what I did like about the crew here, which is a little different from some of the other kind of group led kinds of activities that we've had before, is they pretty much hang back and let you experience it. They're not there at every step saying like, oh, and look at this, you have to come over here and everyone look at the same thing. They bring you out there, but then they are letting you have your own experience. And if you ask questions, they have something important to share, they share it. But a lot of it is just letting you be you.
Okay. Now, on this cruise, I noticed there was I think you couldn't miss it. There was a celebration going on. And so, Cindy, tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, as we were, Dave and I had talked about wanting to take a family trip, and we really did love the idea of going back to Alaska. And as we started to center on when we could get the whole family available to do it, it just seemed that it had to be for Dave's 60th birthday. So while we were on the boat, Dave turned 60, and the crew did a great job, and the passengers did a great job of helping us to celebrate that. And that'll be something that we'll remember forever.
Yeah, I mean, they even threw some decorations up in the cabin, which was terrific. I mean, that was a total shocker. Yeah, it was awesome. Loved it.
Very good. Well, happy birthday, Dave. And I will say I did record the happy birthday song. So trying to decide where am I going to put that little segment. I think I know now where I'm going to insert it. It's going to be on your episode.
Very good.
What'd you think of the food this time around?
Dungeness crab was off the charts. I couldn't believe we had Dungeness the night before at a restaurant in Juneau, and we were all excited. Oh, it's good. Yeah, but you know what? It was okay. You get on the boat and that unlimited all you can eat Dungeness crab night. I know for a fact I was the last person sitting at that table when they cleaned that thing up. It was good.
All right. Excellent. And how about the liquid refreshments? Anything in particular there? What was your favorite experience there?
Well, we loved the bartender, Sean. He's amazing. You'd see Sean in the morning prepping for whatever it was that he had planned as a special drink for people that happy hour. And I could not believe the stuff that this guy is doing on this little boat in the middle of Glacier Bay.
You remember
He's caramelizing bananas to make a garnish for some drink he's invented.
he's infusing bacon into the bourbon and then scraping it off the next morning and then filtering it. And then you had bacon bourbon over rocks. It was like, oh my
You
gosh.
you would have thought you were in a New York cocktail bar. I mean, it was so yes, we did enjoy it quite a bit.
I thought it was really special. It was good. I loved it. I loved it.
We didn't expect that. So
Okay.
that was
Yeah.
that was
Once
really
again,
something.
the expectations, we did not expect that. And that was way over and above and beyond. To have literally a bartender almost 24/7 available to you on the trip. I mean, that was just terrific.
Excellent. Now, overall, I mean, you've had a lot of great experiences. This is not your first rodeo on a small boat cruise in Alaska. Any other event on that boat excursion besides the 2-person kayaks, which I thought was wonderful? By the way, who was the steerer on the kayak? Who did the
We took
steering?
turns,
We took
actually.
one
We
day it
both
was
did.
Cindy, and the
Yeah.
next day it was me.
Yeah.
Okay, I discovered I'm too big for the back one, so I had to sit in
You're too
front.
tall. You have to be
They-
you have to be small enough to fit to get the pedals.
Hey, remember, the person in the front is the power. Remember
is
that?
that it?
Yeah, the person in the front is the one that provides the power.
Oh, okay. I'm going to remember that next time.
That's why I jumped on that one the first day,
Okay, I love it. Actually, the first day that I went out on the guided cruise kayaking, they actually brought one of the stewards took her away from her job so she was the steerer for me. So
Gotcha.
that was great, or else I would not have been going out. But I'm looking forward to kayaking again now. So I'm like all in. What other, besides the kayaking, the hiking, any other of the excursions really stand out for you?
Well, for sure, the polar plunge
Yeah.
was definitely a highlight for me. I didn't think that was going to be a great idea when we got on the boat, when I heard the water was 44 degrees. But I'll tell you, a lot of family peer pressure, really. And then you're standing out there on the dock and everybody's cheering for you. And it was awesome. I'm so happy we all did it together. And I'm glad that I did it and didn't miss out.
Very good. Very good.
That was
You
really
feel-
good. But I thought the excursion that I think it was the last day in Tracey Arm, when you could take the Zodiacs out and head right within a safe distance of where the iceberg is calving right in front of your eyes, and you're seeing it. I mean, it's just so beautiful. And then all of a sudden to be able to have a homemade luge out of some glacier ice that's floating by, and they scrape it out and put a little bit of peppermint schnapps down it, and you have a little bit of a luge shot out of it. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that, So
that was pretty special. And I remember one of the kids can now say she had her hair washed in a waterfall.
That's right. Exactly.
It was
I
it was
love it.
fun having we were together on that one, Howard, and I thought she was nuts that she was going to do this, but they did take her right into the waterfall and just drenched her hair in it, and she had a great time. And I think she's probably the only person I've ever known who's washed her hair in a glacial waterfall.
That's pretty special. That's pretty
Yeah,
special.
and then our daughter-in-law said, "Oh, hey, can I take this cup and just get some glacier water here?" So she went and drank the water. Man, I mean, it's a magical experience.
Very much so. Very much so. So what would you say to some friends of yours? They've heard, hey, you guys went to Alaska. I want to go to Alaska. We don't often think about the small ships like the Wilderness Discoverer, but the bigger ships that we saw in port on that Sunday of our departure. What do you say to them about, you guys, you really have to check out UnCruise Adventures? What would you say to them?
I think the small ship experience, having done it now twice, being on a small ship is a completely different experience from being on a big cruise ship. We've been on a lot of big cruises over the years, in the Caribbean and in Europe and other places, and that's its own thing, and we've done that and had a great time. But the difference about getting up in Alaska is that you can only reach certain places in a small ship. And what Dave is talking about, that excursion that we had at the edge of the glacier in Tracy's Arm, you can't get there on a big ship. And so for me, that's just the decision point. If you're gonna go all that way and you're gonna have a once, or maybe if you're lucky twice in a lifetime experience, then being on the small ship is the way to go.
Yeah. In my
Sure.
mind, it's a no-brainer. I've already spoken to one of my buddies, and he's talking about planning a small cruise ship trip up to Alaska.
Who's that?
I didn't talk to you, but yeah, my fishing buddy.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Guys, all right. One of the other guests had shared, and I love this quote, was don't just see Alaska, experience Alaska. And I think with a small ship like the Wilderness Discoverer and the ones that UnCruise Adventures has in its fleet, that is the way to do it. And it sounds like you guys had a phenomenal experience, and I imagine you're ready to do it again someday. It's if you can, and maybe you'll be going out with grandkids someday. Who knows?
Oh,
But
geez. I mean, I was so tempted when we were finalizing up the bill at the very end. I was
yeah,
so tempted to like just sign, like, let's go to Hawaii. Wouldn't that be great? I don't
there
know.
you go.
That's, I can see that someday on the horizon, but there's a lot of great things to do in the world. And I don't know what's next.
I hear you. I hear you there. Well, listen, Dave, Cindy, it's been a pleasure to have you on the Outdoor Adventure Series, and I am very grateful to have spent some time getting to know you and your family, and being out on the Zodiac with you guys, experiencing that event in Tracey Arms, and seeing that glacier, and just sharing in your celebration. So it was really very grateful to be there, and get to know you guys. And thank you for sharing a little bit about your experience with us today.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Howard. It was a lot of fun. We miss being in the Zodiac with you in Alaska, but it's great to see you.
Sounds great. And listen, thank you again. Stay in the line. I'm going to do a real quick close, and we can have a final chat. All right, folks, we are just finishing up our interview with Dave and Sydney from Boston, Massachusetts. We were guests on the Wilderness Discoverer, one of the small ships that sails out of Alaska. We were visiting the fjords, glaciers, Glacier Bay National Park, and really these small ships are just a phenomenal way to not only see Alaska, but to experience it. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and it will be available on all the podcast directories, wherever you listen to your podcast, or you can visit us on outdooradventureseries.com. To learn more about UnCruise Adventures, visit their website at uncruise.com. You can also learn more on their social sites, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Okay, folks, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, go out there, have a phenomenal day, and we will see you again soon on the Outdoor Adventure Series podcast. Take care now.